Well,
Amazing.
we're diving in right now because we've been talking about some feelings and emotions, and look at this Aries moon here we got rocking.
Yeah. We're looking at Laura Lee's chart because we just dove into this conversation about your day and like the new moon that has just been, and the new moon was on top of your Venus in your chart.
Aquarius, which is my Venus, and my MC are right there. So my life purpose, my contribution to society.
This is like, I feel like, yeah, what did you start this conversation saying? You're like, I'm
I was
transforming, I'm transforming and crying and shedding
Mhm.
layers, but it's painful, but I know I have to do it, or something like that.
It was that exactly. Yeah, I dropped off my 3-year-old at a 3K preschool for her. This is her second day. She turned 3 on Sunday, and then the next day she started this 3K and she loved it. And the first day went great, and I was super happy. And then I very intuitively messaged the child care director where Saffron was at and said, "Can Felix, my baby, come in for a trial run on Wednesday for a couple hours?" She's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I didn't even think about that email. I just sent it. And then I pulled up my chart here and I was reminded that Neptune on top of Mercury, my natal Mercury in Pisces,
Mm.
is
But we
really
have to
oh,
explain like why this is a huge thing for you, because you are very 11th house. So Laura has her sun and Mercury in the 11th house, and the 11th house is so much about going your own way. And I find that people with 11th house placements are very, it's very much like that, the Aquarian energy, that you have to like be sort of rebellious, and you very much want to do things in your unique way. And you have been homeschooling your children for 15 years. For
yes,
15 years.
adamantly homeschooling. Like there was never a
Yeah.
question in my mind. I was even before I was pregnant, I never considered which school district to go to or any, like it was never an option because I was always going to homeschool them. Like it was this identity I claimed. I don't know where it came from, but I claimed it hard.
You needed to set your own rules in life, and that's so 11th house. Yeah.
Plus the Aries sun.
Plus Aries. Yeah.
You gotta really embrace this, like Aries really just do what they want to do and they just don't give a shit.
No. But now like life comes and like sweeps you in a new direction, because with your little kids, the 3-year-old and the almost 1-year-old, you find it like they need a different path, and you need to mother in a new way and actually sort of do things a little bit more like most people do, like not like step away from that very road that you have for yourself, and that you knew like, this is me, this is my identity, I would never do that. And now you're like, hang on, I think I'm gonna do that.
Well, and it's not even a thinking. It's very much a happening to me. It's things falling in my lap. And so my good friend who used to homeschool her children actually works at this religious school. And one of the factors that plays in here is I have had not very good experiences with my religious stuff that I've gone through, whether it's being raised Catholic or we've tried out a lot of different religions to try to find what fits, and I realized they just don't fit in a box of any kind, right? That's the biggest thing. It's me, it's not the religion. And it's been, I don't know, kind of made this like yucky taste building up in my mouth around religion. I don't even know if it was conscious. I think it was more of an unconscious happening. So this is a religious school, and then of course it's a school, right? It's so it's school and it's religion, and I'm having this identity crisis of what am I doing, right? What is happening? I'm liking this. Everybody here is lovely. The people are phenomenal, and they're going above and beyond and helping us with food allergies and food stuff, and making sure Saffron fits in, or making sure
They're
Felix.
embracing the uniqueness of your family.
Yes. Yes.
And you feel like you can be a part of society, even though with your uniqueness.
Yeah.
You can still be a part of the society.
I mean, today's sun is just over the top of my natal Venus in Aquarius. So I just got shined on this, like, what do I value? And very much at this time, as Saturn's trekking through my 10th house, I am valuing my career. like I've never valued it before because I never really had one before. My career was get pregnant and have children. That was the career. That was the focus of my life for so long. And now it's different. And these two kids are teaching me that community needs to be a little bit bigger than just our family, right? Felix is the first baby born with in that 6 week window with Pluto in Aquarius last year, and Saffron has 6 planets and an asteroid in Aquarius.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you already have a strong Aquarian energy. You have Venus in Aquarius, you have Sun in the 11th house. But these very Aquarian children are sort of teaching you to, sort of come closer to quote unquote normalness, normal society rules. Because for you, the normal has been to be very different. So
Yeah,
the weird changes they bring into your life is to like go more towards
traditionality or something. Yeah, yeah.
like that, and that is,
It's
well,
tripping me
for
out. I'm
you,
not
yeah,
gonna lie, it is tripping me out. I came home from this experience where so I dropped both of them off and then I brought Guinevere and she went to band. So she just goes to public school band. I wait at the library, I journal, whatever, and then she comes out and we go home. And I had these messages from the daycare teacher, oh, Felix is doing great. And then the message from the cook, oh, hey, I want to help you with your food allergies. Here's the dates that work. And she circled the calendar and found me on Facebook and sent me a message. And I was like, oh my God, like it hit my heart like a freaking Valentine's Day arrow, right? Which is Valentine's Day when we're recording this. So I was floored by the just the little acts of kindness that I didn't know I needed. Like you said,
yeah,
they're valuing my family's independence and uniqueness, and they're super cool. I've already talked to the principal slash Saffron's teacher, who I'm so grateful for people who want to be around 3-year-olds all the time. Bless their heart on so many
mm,
levels. Like they are special souls.
yeah. But this
And
is so like I think I find for me, if I'm going through something, you're experiencing the emotions, but then
mm,
when you look at your chart and actually sort of see the language, you're like, wow, and it brings a clearer picture of where you're going through. So it's you sort of get deeper, and the transformation part sort of happens more flowy when you actually see clearly, like, wow, okay, so the new moon happened on my Venus in the 10th house in Aquarius,
yeah.
valuing my
Square to Chiron,
mm,
my natal Chiron, which Uranus is sitting on top of in the 12th house. And for
yeah,
those of you that don't remember, the 12th house is really dealing with a lot of ancestral healing, and also lineage of your own soul, right? Your soul's
yeah,
healing from past lives, and then the ancestral of your physical people on earth and your grandparents and all the way back. And for me, that's Chiron is the only thing I have in earth. It's Taurus. So it's this grounded foundational frequency of relationships and the stability of your life, right? It's that second
yeah.
house energy, that Taurus relational energy. And I feel
Which
like
is,
you're right.
why you feel this so deep, because it comes from like probably lifetimes.
Yeah. So when I got home and the principal was so sweet and he was like, um, I told him, I said, I am not a morning person and I will try really hard to get here at 8, but I cannot promise you. And he's like, don't worry about it. And I was like,
What? Yeah.
like seriously. He's like, if it's 9:15, just come on in. It's okay.
Mm.
I was like, you don't even understand what those two sentences did for my heart. Like, I don't know if it just like stitched up a crack that was in there. I don't know why, but there is something really deep inside that is not conscious yet, but I
Mm.
can feel it being weirdly healed.
Yeah, and that's also like, because Neptune in the sky moves really slowly, and it's been sitting on your Mercury for quite a while. And but also that I feel is a huge thing, in that it's healing the way you think about community because it's in the 11th house and it's in Pisces. So you really like starting to understand, and the way you think is like starting to like, oh, hang on, I don't maybe have to do what I used to do. I can do this in a different way, and I can be a part. I can actually be a part of the society that I have been
Think
like
about
trying
Aquarius,
to, yeah.
community. I can't expand my community if I don't go get in the community, right? A lot of what I do now is online, which is fine. I love my online community, and we got to have some balance. Look at those 4 planets in Libra. I need people in real life too. And I'm not currently doing my business the way I used to, which was going and teaching classes locally and things like that. I'm not doing that as much anymore. So I got to find community somewhere. And I think my kids are like, hey, I'll help. We
Yeah.
got you, mom.
Yes.
And I'm getting to know a lot more parents through Elliot doing, the musicals and being in band part-time. He's doing part-time school at the high school. And then Gertie's doing basketball and Gwen's doing band. So they're all each involved in something. So we're getting out there a little bit more and a little bit more. And like I feel the healing and I still have to feel the feels. I gotta
Mm-hmm.
cry.
Of course, because like I said before, this has been such a big part of your identity, and I get that because growing up, I always felt a little different and sort of misunderstood. I also have some like my Venus is opposite to Uranus, which is like it's been a little bit weird for me to find my place, and I've always like,
That you value.
yeah, and like always felt like the black sheep, and sort of started really identifying with being a black sheep and being like, well, fine, I'm different and everyone else is poop. You know what I mean? Because that's why I had to do it. My teenage brain like sort of twisted to feel good about myself. But then, growing up and realizing like sometimes you take comfort in being different because it hurts also sometimes to be different and not being a part of the bigger society because you feel misunderstood.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so the transformation and the healing of like the pain to let go of that part, because it's a very, you got to know that part of you so well, and it is a big part of you. And then like warming it up and changing it and saying, maybe I don't have to be, I can change that. Like that was me, but right now it's something different and it's not bad. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Like,
I do. And I think
yeah.
that's because Saturn is so involved here. We've got my Venus is trine to Saturn in the 5th house. So my Saturn is hanging out in 5th house and he's just a couple degrees away from Mars. And right in between there is Pallas Athena. And she's about wisdom and finding happy mediums and negotiations and not going to war. And so she tames my Mars, but my Mars is still there and he's driven for children and to have fun and play and just all of the creative pursuits that I want to do. But really Saturn at 19 degrees in the 5th house in Libra, I am very, very, very aware of the extreme challenges I went through with the first 3 children. So it was 5.5 years of I really want babies. I really want babies. I want babies. We couldn't get pregnant. We had fertility issues. We tried adoption. We were turned down. Long story. We'll do a whole podcast on that. And it it took us a long time, 5.5 years to get pregnant. And then we got pregnant. And then it took us another year for Gertie. She showed up. And then right away, Gwen showed up. She was just, I'm coming. So it was these 3 kids in 4 years. And I had no tools in my toolbox on how to deal with them, how to deal with my own emotional needs, my own self. And I got really sick really fast. I crashed. My adrenals crashed. My health crashed. I ended up becoming paralyzed, partially paralyzed. I could only stand or sit. Ended up needing stem cell transplants. My teeth fell out. Like it was a journey. It was a journey that those 3 children and I went on together. And I'm going to cry. When I came home from dropping these 2 little kids off today, I came in the house and they could tell I was, I was all right, but they were like, what's going on? Like they can feel me. And my son now towers over me and he gives the best hugs. And now my head goes in his chest, which is super trippy. He gave me a hug and I just started crying because he's a safe spot. And I said, I don't actually know what's wrong. I just feel like I'm changing and I'm having to surrender and let go of who I was and the mom that I was with you three. And we went through so much together. And then Gertie came up and hugged. And then Gwen's like, well, all right. And then she gets up. And suddenly I'm in this giant embrace of these three children that I've grown so much with. And they have taught me so much. And I've just had to really lean into so much surrender and so much self love and so much self care as I raised these three. And now here I am learning how to do that again in a different way. And this time with my career, and this time with surrendering to what these next two children need and the difference in parenting. And being comforted by these three was just so healing. But I think it really has a lot to do with the karmic energy of Saturn, right? Saturn is karma. I came here to do this work with kids, damn it. I came here to work really hard with kids and through kids and from kids and to do what I need to do to find harmony, which is that Libra placement, right? I got to find harmony. And this looks like going to a private school at 10 months and 3 years of age, part time.
Ooh, but yeah, I can see like it's so. I totally get it. It's huge and really humbling, and humbling things. When you get really knocked down, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess. And like you said, it's not like you went there and everything was fantastic. It's almost like you're looking for like there has to be something has to be wrong with this place because I've been fighting this for so long. What's wrong? And then like everyone's so nice and like
Yeah.
really, really nice. Like
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yes, I am. It's weird. And I think that's Saturn, right? Because isn't that fear? That's he rules fear, right? Philip
But
asked
yeah.
this and he said,
Mm,
what do you think this is? I said, I think there must have been some past lives where things have happened to my children or I wasn't vigilant or something, right? There was some kind of loss or some kind of I wasn't good to them or I wasn't paying attention or there was something. And now I feel like I have to be this like mother hen and
yeah.
at least have them, near me. But there's also this, I don't know, it is like an underlying fear of if I'm not taking care of them, then I'm not doing what I need to do, right? Or something like that, a flavor
Mm,
like that.
yeah. But also just the fact that you're going from and the journey you were on with your three big kids. I mean, that needed to happen and you needed to really take that route of going your own way because health-wise, that's the only thing that was going to work. That's totally and completely what you had to do and learn all of that, like that way of life. And now it's like, okay, you learned all of that. Now let's integrate you back into like now you're ready to meet other people so you can one thing feel accepted for the uniqueness that you
Yes.
have in your family. And the second part for other people to also learn this from you because being surrounded like surrounding yourself with other people, this is the best way to learn from each other. Other
Yep.
people are going to learn so much about homeschooling and like, oh, what you do, you work with herbs or you work with raindrop technique. What is that? And that's so beautiful. And like you're going to be meeting a lot more people that you would never have met.
That's exactly it. We're seeing our
Yeah.
community expand before our eyes. It's so, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I keep saying the word trippy because that's my head keeps going, what is happening? I hear somebody constantly going, what is going on? What?
Mm.
I don't know who I am anymore. It feels very much like that. It feels like an identity crisis in a way.
Hey, Mama. Are you searching for a way to connect with your child in a better, deeper, healthier way? As a mom of 5 with teenagers, preteens, a toddler, and a baby, I get it. I get the frustration that comes with parenting. I get the surrender that needs to take place. I get the stress that can almost kill you. I get it. This is why I have created the Cosmic Mama Collective. This is a group I am so passionate about, and I invite you to join us where we can share and grow and learn together, utilizing the energies of astrology and the planetary placements to understand what is happening, what's going on with your child, what's going on with you. And we can make sense of this craziness here in Earth School. Let me help you understand. Join the Cosmic Mama Collective. I can't wait to have you.
So when I was thinking about Saturn, Gertie is my Saturn return child. So Saturn would have been hanging out in Libra and entering my 6th house when I had her. And then Gwen has her Saturn in Scorpio. So that's my entire 6th house, which is daily routines and health and wellness for their young years. So and of course I have the planet of chaos in that area of life, and the planet of self-care, and the planet of gigantic expansion. So Saturn was really those couple years, 2014, 15, 16, probably 17, 18 in there, were some of the most challenging I've gone through. And now I'm looking at where he would have been, and I'm like, oh, my entire 6th house, the entire thing. And then 2018, 2019 was my marriage issues, marriage stuff, marriage challenges.
7th house. Yep.
And then about the end of 2019 and 2020 is when Saturn was going through Aquarius. And that's when I dove into online learning, and I dove into teaching, which is my 9th house, 8th house, 9th house. And now he's been hanging out in the 10th, and I'm going, well, isn't that interesting to kind of see that timeline of maturity and looking back and going, oh, I was supposed to go through those hard lessons in my daily routine. And now I'm supposed to go through these hard lessons of work hard on my life purpose, work hard on my career, work hard on my contribution to society. That's 10th house, because now he's going to trek over into the 11th here soon. And I got to work hard on growing my community.
Yes. It's coming.
This is all like happening in real time as I'm looking. I've never like put that together before, ever.
No, it's so crazy how there's so many times that feels like the first time I look at my own chart. You see it like it's like you unlock new levels.
Exactly. Yes. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And even now looking at, Pluto and Mars are about to do this lovely conjunction here in Aquarius, and that's happening in my 8th house. And I just put the planet or asteroid Vesta in here, which we talked about her a little bit. She's like that heart flame that your heart follows. And that happens to be at 1 degree Aquarius where this is all happening. So I'm putting all of this together of like drive to transform what my heart flame follows. And of course, the 8th house of something needs to die and something else needs to be reborn, says the cat.
And hence the tears, because of course this is tough stuff that you're talking about and you're sharing. Like, this is really, I'm excited for you, but also like I know that, wow. And yeah, again, it's so humbling to let yourself go through that, because this is where a lot of people resist, and you go, no, I don't want to change, I need to stick to what I have been doing, and you fight the transformation.
Or I need to stick to what I've been taught, or what the church told me, or what my parents told me, or the programming. I see that with clients a lot, and I've told them over and over, you can't fight the planets. I've seen too many times. It's not coincidence anymore, right? You can't fight the planets. And I'm looking at the moon just went over my sun sign, which activates emotions and who I am, right? The sun is on my Venus and my career house. Oh, active, shining a light on what I value. Saturn going through the 10th house, working hard on your career, right? Like, I can't make this up.
No, it's like sometimes when it's just astrology is super clear.
Exactly.
Like spelling it out for you. You just need to learn the language.
Right? Yeah. And Mercury trekking right through the middle of my 9th house in Aquarius. I'm really, I always think of the 9th and 3rd house as that like intelligence, right? Gaining intelligence, learning to understand things in a new way. Hello, planet of learning in
Mm.
Aquarius, which is genius. It's genius. It wants to know and understand from all the perspectives. And then the ninth house is, I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to tell you. So look at us recording it. We didn't even know. We didn't even really say hi. We just like
No.
right in.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we're in the deep end. Let's just dive in. Okay, here we
But
are.
that's how it will always be.
Pretty much.
That's how it is. But and soon Venus is also joining Pluto in your 8th house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like even more. Remember recording the February transit episode?
I do.
How excited we were for all the Pluto things happening.
So dumb.
And like you said before we hit record also, it's like I'm always excited for these things when I see them in the future, when like ahead of time, like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen. I can see something gonna
Yes.
happen. Ooh, how exciting. And then when you're in it, you're just like, death, you know?
Yeah. That right there. Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah. And also what's really interesting now, we just had a couple of days ago, we had the first new moon, well, the first moon event in Aquarius, but the first new moon in Aquarius, with Aquarius lit up by Pluto for the first time in 248 years. So we don't really know what this energy is like. And I was listening to Jessica Laniado, and she was mentioning that it's interesting because Pluto wasn't discovered until, okay, now I don't really have the dates, but very late. I think it must have been not more than like 70 years ago. I think that Pluto was
I want to
discovered.
say it was the 50s. I think it was
The
the 50s.
50s. Oof, that's not long ago at all. So it's like that
It might
also
be
sort of,
longer, but it's pretty recent.
yeah, it's within this like the 19th century. Oh no, it's called the 20th century when it's the 20th century. Yeah, we do it the other way around in Swedish. So we don't really like, because we didn't see the planet, we didn't know about the existence of Pluto, we didn't really work with the energy in that same way because we weren't aware of it. And this is a little bit tricky because you would think that, well, Pluto has been there forever, so we would have experienced that energy always. And yeah, that energy has been there. There was the French Revolution, all of those things happened when Pluto was in Aquarius, and that is very Pluto in Aquarius 248 years ago. But now it's different because now we have a humanistic sort of influence here as well. So experiencing Pluto in Aquarius is very, very new for humankind.
Like a conscious
Yeah.
evolution, right? Since we've gotten the internet, look at what's happened to like the conscious awakening process of people, right? People are waking up rapidly now that most of the globe is pretty interconnected. My husband in 2015 went to Kazakhstan. That was the first time we'd ever like video chatted long distance across the globe in real time. And we were both really quite tripped out. We were like, you are 12 hours ahead of me. You're on the other side of the globe. Neither of us is connected to anything. And we're talking to each other in real time. What is happening, right? So that kind of understanding that that's an option, that it is magic, right? It's very magical. And it takes this kind of surrender to rebirth the way we think. And that's what our generations have been going through since the 90s when this really became a thing. So I think that's really contributed to this awakening. And Pluto's existence now is part of that awakening. Like, yeah, he was always there, but now we're conscious of it.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about it and we can be like, you're experiencing that? Here's the lesson in it. Here's what you're supposed to be learning through that.
Yeah, because imagine like a way to explain that would be like, yeah, you have had a bike in your shed your whole life, but not really using it. Now, when you know that you can use it, you can get far faster than before. It's really interesting because just going back to what I was saying before about Jessica Laniado, how she was explaining how that has an effect, like when we discover planets. When we, I feel like I'm saying like you and me, when you and I discovered Uranus
And we were
in
gazing
the like
at the telescope
yeah,
100 years
yeah.
back.
in the 1800 something, I think it was discovered. Oh, actually, don't quote me on that. When Uranus was discovered, that was also a time when we here on this planet discovered electricity. Like that happened at the same time.
Yeah,
And
that's
Uranus,
not a coincidence.
that's not a coincidence. Uranus is electricity. Uranus like rules electricity and some other things as well, a lot of other things. But man, that is not a coincidence. And that's pretty much all I know about that. But it's just, yeah, like I said, no coincidence.
No, it's not. And I think this is where it helps me to just I hadn't looked at my chart, before. I just pulled it up now when we were talking and I was crying and I'm feeling all the feels, right? And when I look at it, it suddenly just brings peace to my heart, going, and this is what you're supposed to be going through. This is it. You're doing it. Good job. Like, good job, honey. Right? Like,
yeah.
I
Keep
feel
going.
right.
Yeah.
Good job, you. I feel like I'm really learning how to mother myself in a whole new way and really lean into what it means to do self-care. And that does require time away from my incredibly nervous system stimulating toddler. She's lovely, amazing human. I look forward to seeing the institutions she brings down. Aquarius is really electrifying energy. And when you live with that all the time and that little human doesn't know how to control it or isn't aware of it, it's quite challenging. So
It's like one of those fireballs that can like pop out from things.
I feel like almost like when Tesla was first discovering electricity and learning how to harness it. And there's a picture of him sitting in a room and there's those electrical beams, just everywhere. I feel like that's her right now. And eventually we'll get her into like plug form where we can plug her in and she can control the, right?
Yeah.
But right now she's 3 and she can't do that shit yet. So I recognize how intensely she is stimulating my nervous system. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes we laugh for hours, but sometimes it's equally as not great. And then I become, or I don't want to say I become, but the old pattern programming that I've been working on healing, there's still some in the dark basement, and that can rear its head every once in a while, and I'll get real stop crying, right? Like, or stop whatever. And I try to control, right? Then Saturn comes out and is like, and wants to just choke, Bart Simpson like Homer does. So I'm recognizing that time away for her and me is really healing. And it's okay that my heart hurts as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I can hold
Both
both of
can
them.
be at this. Yeah. Does he have, when you put your charts together, you and Felix, the little baby, is there a lot of like 12th house connections?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I feel like then there will be tears and transformation. Oh my God.
He is my 12th house baby. Like, that is exactly what he is. It's kind of impressive how much 12th house he's rocking just in general. And his sun is 21 degrees Aries. Mine is 8 degrees Aries, which falls squarely in the middle of his 12th house. So yeah, he is here to, and then he's got, look at all the first house planets.
Oh, this is his chart.
Yeah, this is his chart.
Whoa.
Look at all the first house planets and asteroids and 12th house. Like, this kid is here to really embody the Piscean, Aries, and Taurus realm of the zodiac.
Yeah.
He's here to help with the healing and be stable, but make sure there's independence and make sure you're doing the healing and the feeling. Like, he's here for it.
Yeah.
Eighth house moon transformation. Yeah.
Yep.
So again, this little boy who just turned 10 months old, he also needs to shine. He needs to be seen in a new way and also have community in a whole new way. And with that, his Pluto is at 0 degrees Aquarius at the very tail end of his 10th house.
Yeah.
Like, it just like squeezes in there. And And then his 10th house must start at like 2 degrees. Or 1 degree. It's crazy. Or 11th house. So he's here to really make sure transformational energy happens with being authentic to yourself.
Mm.
Really, really, really stepping into your autonomy, right? And
Yeah.
how do you have a baby like this and it not change you?
Mm.
Has to.
It's so cool. And this is, you have this thing which is called Cosmic Mama Collective. You meet online,
Yep.
parents, you meet, and you can talk about these things. If there's someone out there listening and you're like, wow, I would love to look at my kid's chart, well, you can book a reading and you can join this collective and just talk about the things you're going through.
Into it. It's growing into your understanding of various different ways to parent in a new way, right?
Yeah.
And because I have found so much peace and understanding using astrology with my children, I really feel passionate and compelled, Venus in Aquarius, to help others understand their child's unique footprint and map.
Yeah.
And that is something that, like I said, sometimes it just brings me peace to look at their chart and be like,
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
them, yep, that's it, that's them, it's cool, it's okay.
Yeah. I don't have any kids, but just knowing, like, with my own chart, I've been fighting my own chart my whole life without knowing it because I didn't see my chart, and then when I saw my chart, it's been a huge emotional ride, because first I was not happy with my chart. I thought it was a bad chart.
What gave you that
I
impression?
have the worst chart.
Where did you get that impression from?
It was actually a reading I had.
Okay.
It was like but this was, I guess, meant to happen or something. I had a reading with astrology student, but also the teacher was there, and this teacher was someone that I had been following for a while. And they were talking, first of all, they were like, oh, wow, you're both Capricorn moon and Capricorn ascendant. Ooh, like sort of in that way. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? We were recording this thing, and then I was sent the recording afterwards. And there's a little bit at the end that was with the recording after we hung up, and they said something about like, oh man, she had like those 2 Capricorn placements. Oh, that's tough, like something like that. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And I mean, they did not, of course, know that I was going to hear this, because
Right.
that is something that you just don't say to someone.
Right.
And for many reasons, but also because, you know what, there's absolutely nothing, like, there's no bad placements. Like
No.
they can be a little bit more challenging, but you can say that in so many different ways. So I started really, like, I'm like, oh, this really famous astrologer is saying I have a bad chart. So my chart is really bad.
Which
For
is
me.
probably one of the worst things you could have said to a Capricorn dominant.
Of course.
Like,
yeah.
you could have
I
said
took
that
that
to
to
me,
heart.
right? You could have said that to me,
Mm.
and I would have been like, whatever, right? Flip them the
Yeah.
bird and move on, right? But for you, oh God, that must have, like, someone's
Yeah.
judging me and they're seeing it in my chart. Oh my gosh, right? Like that. No, no, it's not
No,
okay.
that was bad. So it started sort of like that, and then I started seeing myself in these Capricorn placements and like how that manifested in me, and realizing like, oh yeah, but I've always known that I've actually had a hard time or difficulty expressing my emotions to people around me, to my friends, and I have a 12th house moon in Capricorn. So this was like the biggest key ever to understand myself. And when I started to understand myself, it's not, I don't find that my Capricorn moon is too bad anymore,
No,
just
I
became
really
friends with
want
it.
people to always understand that energy is just energy. Is some of it a little bit more challenging to swim through? You bet. A hurricane is quite challenging to sail on a boat. Yep. But it's still, you don't get mad at it. It's just the energy of the ocean.
That's it.
Darn,
That's
that
it.
pressure system and that pressure system met up and they created this swirling vortex. And but why would you get mad at that or get, think that it's a bad thing? It's just actually the equalizing of the pressures, right? That it's kind of solving the pressure issue by swirling around. That's what a tornado is.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing for me. I really learned how to, I think it's an acceptance and a validation, but also I used to think I was too much. Two words that were used a lot with me. Laura, you're too much, talk too much, you're too loud, too this, right? Too whatever. And now I realize, oh, I'm just enough. You're supposed to move. That's my job. If you think I'm too much, then move out of the way and it won't be a problem, right? This is interesting. We're chatting about this, speaking of parenting and leaning into all of this energy. Last night, Gertie, my 12-year-old, had a challenging situation. Now, just for reference, she has a 12th house moon in Aries, and she's a Taurus rising at 1 degree. And then Jupiter is at 3 degrees Taurus. So she's got this giant Taurus expansion, but it's like baby Taurus energy. Like it's still new and still unsure. And then a Scorpio sun. So she's in basketball right now. And this is her first time doing this kind of sport or anything like this. And she's very new to it. And for her, she takes a lot of time to warm up, a lot of time. She needs expansive time to adjust to new situations, Taurus, right? And then, of course, her Scorpio sun is just real unsure about new situations, new people, especially. But her heart wants to play. Aries moon wants to play. Well, last night she was supposed to go to a basketball camp. It was like a skills camp. And it was just 1 hour drop in. They just want to help people out, help kids out, and they had different age ranges. Well, she was getting herself in her head, telling herself a story, getting herself worked up anxiety wise. And she went in, and as soon as she saw a couple girls in the hallway, and she realized she didn't know these girls. This wasn't her team she's gotten used to. And these were new girls, and it was, oh my gosh. And it started to hit her. My husband went to sign her in and do all the waivers and stuff. And then he looked in the gym and saw she wasn't in there. And he saw her peek around the corner and saw tears in her eyes. And he's like, oh no. He also has an Aries moon in the 12th house and is also a Taurus rising. So he understands this angst well. For him, Chiron's on his rising signs. He's got lots of social anxiety stuff about showing up. So he got this and he sat there going, well, what do? Do I push her to get herself composed and go in? Or do we just say, forget it, let's go home? What do you do in this situation? And he knew that if he pushed her and she'd had tears in her eyes, he knew that if she went in there teary-eyed, like that would not make her feel better. So he's like, let's just call it a night. It was already late. It was after 7. He's like, let's just go home. It's okay. Well, then she felt awful on the 15-minute ride home. And I was doing a self-love class last night. I was participating in it. And it was a Galentine's Day event where it was a bunch of ladies just kind of digging into emotions and stuff. And I was in the middle of that, listening and participating, but I wasn't talking. And Gertie comes in the door, just so sad, just tears. And like I immediately saw this 12-year-old into this little 2-year-old. And I was like, oh no. So I turned my video off, turned the volume down, and I went and sat on the couch with her. And I held her and held her and held her. And I kept thinking to myself, let her feel, right? My mom didn't like my emotions. They didn't make her feel good. So she would try to like, oh, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Don't cry. Don't cry. Didn't mean anything by it. But I kept hearing this person in my head going, let her feel it. Let her feel it. Tell her she's safe to feel in here, right? Like let her feel the big feelings she needs to, because Aries get a little scary sometimes with that fiery moon. And she felt it. She crying it out. And I just held her. And then I reminded her that it's just 1 hour of one day of her long life. And it's not that big of a deal. And she says, well, I was late and I hate being late. And I would rather be the first one there than show up late. I said, well, that is good information to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a good realization. I'm glad that you learned something through this experience that we can take with next time. And she, oh, I didn't think of it like that. I said, well, let's go in your body and let's I said, here's the thing. And I was talking to her about her chart. And I said, with this Taurus rising, you show up in a very physical way. You feel things in your body right away. And Jupiter expands it. And then your moon in the 12th house, you're really emotionally intuitive. So if someone there wasn't feeling good, you would feel that for sure. So I said, when did you start to feel that angst? And she said, when I walked in, I saw those girls. I said, okay, where did you feel it in your body? And she said, my heart and my stomach. I said, okay. That right there is important information so that you can recognize for next time, oh, here's that feeling. What do I do with it? I said, Gertie, you could have sat on the floor right there and just taken 2 deep breaths. So we did some deep breaths on the couch. I guided her through a couple of them. I said, do you feel better? And she said, yeah. I said, you can do that anywhere. You could have left immediately. You could have walked back outside and paused. I said, remember, Taurus needs to take time. They need time to adjust. If you weren't okay, go back out. Take some deep breaths. Go back in. You're not ready yet? Go back out. Take more deep breaths. And we learned so much through this experience. And because I had been doing a self-care, self-love event, and I had just meditated and I was in a good place, I was able to hold this fiery child. And we walked through it, and it took maybe 15 minutes, maybe. And she felt better. And she said, thanks. And she walked out. I said, go hug your father. And she said, I don't want to disappoint him. I was like, oh, he's a big mushy teddy bear. He'll be fine. I said, you probably triggered his social anxiety more than anything, and he's feeling his own stuff. So don't worry about that. Your father's fine. So I had to kind of like walk her through that part too, and not wanting to let her father down. I said, don't worry about it. Just, he wants you to be happy. That's the thing. He just wants you to be happy. So we really used the chart a lot last night. We used our understanding of our own energies, and we didn't shy away from it. And me doing my self-care and having time away from the kids allowed me to be so much more present, so much more in the moment, which is such a gift, you know? So I think that's what I am here to really teach others, is how to really kind of understand and work with and use these energies for their own parenting, and then to help their kids through. And that moment on that couch right there is really one of those like solidifying moments of, yes, this is the thing you're here to do, Laura. This is your career. Saturn's like, you're doing it. Good job. Now keep going. Thanks, dude. Thanks.
No, but it's just really amazing how you can be so much more calmer within yourself, knowing that you don't need to be anything else. You just need to get to know yourself better, so you know what you can work with. And like before, I thought I had a bad chart. It's not like now I think I have the best chart or a good chart. I just know that my chart is my chart, and it's like you said, energy is neither good or bad, but I can see what I have going on and use it. And I know that, my moon placement is one of my challenges in this life, and I've been working on this for a while. And
you and me both, girl. You and me both.
Yeah,
that's probably why we do this. It's probably the main factor why we feel so compelled to meet every week and record every week to do this, because we are working on our own healing, our own emotional healing.
It's true. I also know that in my chart I have some things that help me to work. There's also some things that are easier, so that allows me to put more time to work on my moon, because I have some other things that are more lighter.
Exactly. That was a perfect description of how we can really lean into our
I'm
chart.
so in love with astrology. Crashing. I'm crashing.
I love how we're like, what do we want to talk about today? I don't know. We'll talk about Venus. Sure. We talked about Venus.
We mentioned Venus. Today is V-Day for Venus Day.
It really is, I think, just amazing on so many levels. And there's never a time where I've looked at someone's chart and been like, okay, that's it. We're no more to talk about. Like, I have clients I meet with sometimes every couple of weeks, at least once a month. And I sometimes go, gee, I wonder if I'm going to run out of something to say to them today. No,
The sky will keep moving.
never, ever, ever have I looked at a chart and gone, there, that's it. We're done. We're done exploring all of the mysteries of the cosmos. We've covered it all.
We covered the cosmos. Yeah, what a ride.
And it's so beneficial for healing. When Philip asked, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way? I said, I think Saturn's playing a big role right now when it comes to part of this karmic stuff I'm working on. I think there's a lot of deep unconscious stuff that's really rumbling, right? There's like the East Australian current, big funnel of water that moves at a really rapid rate under other layers of water. It's the weirdest
I don't understand that. It's way too weird.
It's
What?
super trippy. I've looked it up. I think when I watched Finding Nemo, I was like, what? That was the one part of the movie that caught my attention, was this East Australian current. And I was like,
yeah.
and I looked it up, and it's literally this just giant tube of water that goes through the ocean at this very, very rapid rate. So I feel like that's what's happening to me and a lot of others who are experiencing these really deep transformations. There's a current under the surface, and it's doing its own thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so like when we were looking at February before the transits, and seeing things come up, and a lot of things with Pluto, and this whole year pretty much feels so like that it's going to be a very transformational year, like, and I feel it already. Like I feel like we're opening, like sort of ripped open, or like explode. My heart feels like it's like slowly like a slow explosion, like
a flower opening. I keep seeing like a sunflower, like the petals just sort of opening and opening. And as it totally opens all the way, think of how vulnerable that flower is. But then that's when the pollination happens. That's when the seeds get germinated. That's when the sunflower seeds develop into the next generation. It's that opening of that flower is a vulnerable thing. When it's closed up and tight, it can protect itself. But that's not when it's pretty. That's not when we value it. We value it when it's beautiful and open and very vulnerable to the elements and the bugs and the everythings. It feels flower-like.
This is someone told me the other day. Yeah, my friend Caro, she met some lady at a bar, and she said, yeah, this lady has such a nice mantra. She keeps every morning, she says to herself, I am, what's a nicer word than in control of? Like not control, but like I am steering, I'm choosing the way of my flowering. No, of my blossoming. I am choosing my blossoming. Like something, okay, it doesn't really translate, but something like that. And now you said something similar. I'm like, okay, that means something.
It does. I love that. That it is this allowing and participating. It's a participatory sport. You have to participate with the energy. I have to get up in the morning. I have to do this morning routine thing, get my kids ready and get them out the door. That is challenging, incredibly. But because of that, there is a surrender that happens. Because I'm participating, now I get to take time to process and to feel and to journal and to surrender and think and work and do the service I'm here to provide in this earth school existence. If I'm not saying just, but if I just do mommy and I don't do my other calling, I will lose myself in that. I've done it. I've already done it. I can't lose myself in mommy land. I have to do other things, and that requires other people helping me. And that's the surrender and the participation of the chart. You can't just sit there and let the energy pass you by, and you'll be forced to change some way somehow. But I think it's the surrendering of the knowing that this is going to happen, and you got to just ride with it. You're on the current. You got to take that current. Go to the sea turtles. Ride with the sea turtles, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. This has been fun. Thank you for helping me explore my emotional stuff today.
Yeah, and this is also like a 12th house moons as we are. It's not so easy to show your emotions and be vulnerable like that. So
no,
well done for doing hard things.
I think that's what I like about this podcast, is because it's you and me sitting here, it feels safe.
Yeah.
You
no
know?
one's listening.
Right, no one's listening. It's all right. Nobody's watching. It's okay. I can just sit in my office and be weird, right? That's how this
Mm,
works. And I think
yeah,
that's what people like about podcasts and stuff is because there's that kind of intimacy and safety there. You
yeah,
know, when somebody listens, typically they'll have earbuds in or it'll be like a private listen, right? So there is that intimate conversation energy with it
yeah,
where I do feel like I can be more vulnerable for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thanks for
yes.
joining us and for chatting with me. And yeah, if anyone's interested in joining the Cosmic Mama Collective, come and check it out. There's links in the show notes. I've got new collaborators that are joining each month, new cosmic collaborators, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, thanks so much, everybody, and we'll catch you. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Ram and Goat Astrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.